Hey guys, Dr. Christy Ennis. If you've ever been walking along or running along, usually at a little bit faster pace than normal, and you've had to grab that leg and either fall or, not mentioning any names here, maybe fall off the treadmill, who could I be talking about? Then this video is for you. You either have a hamstring strain right now, or you've certainly gone through one in the past. So today we're going to go over those first 3 phases and the exercises and steps that you need to take to get yourself back up on your feet and not flying off the treadmill. So phase 1 is that very first phase, right? Now with a hamstring strain, if you actually strain the muscle, it tends to be kind of in the middle of that muscle. If you strain the tendon, that is clearly going to be a little bit higher up. And if you actually have pain right at the attachment site, you actually really want to get that checked out, because when it is that high up, right at the butt, you can actually get what's called an avulsion and pull a little bit of the bone away. And that requires a little bit more help than what you're going to get from this video. So just pay attention to where that strain is. Now also, it can be really mild, like it's just kind of like it's a little uncomfortable, a little stiff, or it can be really pretty crummy and get all bruised, and it is really hard to walk, okay? So just know that depending on how bad it is in the beginning, means that it's going to take you a little bit of a different amount of time to go through each of these phases. So this first phase is usually about 0 to 2 weeks. Sometimes if it's just really mild, it's just the first day or 2 that you need to do these next steps to start feeling better. But you do not want to push this, or you'll end up making it a heck of a lot worse, and then I can't help you. All right, so like I said, phase 1 is that right when it happens phase. So you actually do want to try to get some ice on it, do a little compression. They make some nice compression sleeves, which actually trust me on this one, feel really good after you've first done this. But we don't want to just be stagnant. We want to get some motion going that's relatively pain-free. Now, really big X mark here. Do not stretch that hamstring right now, okay? It's gonna feel tight and it's gonna make you feel like I just want to do this, right? Don't do it, because it can make it worse. You just have a little tear in there. Now, if you're gonna go stretch it, you're gonna end up with a way bigger tear. So no stretching until we get to phase 3. But like I said, range of motion is important, as well as a little bit of blood flow. So if we actually work on activating these quad muscles, thank goodness for the brain and the way that works, that actually inhibits these hamstring muscles. So we're going to start with just a little bit of standing, gentle motion. So if you think, and you can hang on please by all means, but if it's that left side and you go ahead and you kind of squeeze that quad, and then we're just going to do a little bit of, notice I'm not moving a ton, but a little bit of a leg swing. You can go forward, you can go side to side, but we're activating that quad and hip flexor to actually help reduce tension through those hamstring muscles. So a couple other nice standing ones that you can do would even be like a little grapevine. You can get a little music going. Again, small motion to start, right? But we're just getting blood flow, getting things feeling good. And then the last one that you can do standing is a little march. Again, be very careful with this one, just with regards to how it feels in there. All right, so along with range of motion, we actually want to start getting a little bit of what's called isometric exercise. So you're not moving through a range of motion. We're not 100% sure why that actually helps. The theory is that maybe there's some blood flow that gets going and helps speed up healing, but it does help. So the very first one you can do is just bend that knee a little bit up, only to the point of comfort, and you're going to dig that heel right down into the ground. Pretend you're just pushing that heel down, or about to throw a temper tantrum, but don't actually throw a temper tantrum. Just that little push, and then you can let it relax. And you can play around a little bit. If it feels better, you can go ahead and bring that leg up a little bit more. So those always usually feel pretty comfortable right in the beginning. Now, as you start to get better in this first phase, we're going to progress things a little bit. So you can go right back to that little heel dig, and then just adding a little bit of variation to it, press those heels down, and then you're just going to lift that butt up. So we're not in a full bridge yet. We're just doing a little bit of a bridge, so we're still getting that isometric work going on there. You can work again on activating the front of those muscles, right? Those quad muscles. So tightening up that quad and then lifting that leg, you'll get a little bit of a stretch there too, and getting some work in through that front of that body. And then once you actually do feel better and you're getting some good range of motion, then you can go on into still kind of a straight, right, where a bent little hip there, and lift into that bridge and hold, okay? So we're not working on doing any other hip motion, right? The hamstring does knee flexion, bends the knee, and it does hip extension. So we're not going into that hip extension yet. We're staying pretty neutral here. You just work on holding, drink a little coffee. No, just kidding, because that'd probably make you choke. But you can hang out here and have a conversation and then go ahead and bring that butt down. And then two other things that aren't working on the hamstring, but you can do to keep yourself feeling better would be a little bit of a plank. Again, that's going to work way more of the front of the body than the back of the body. And so it usually feels okay to actually go into that plank, whether it's on the knees or whether it's up, onto the toes. One of the only times I really like to do planks here. You can even do that side plank if it feels okay, bent knees or straight. And then the good old Jane Fonda side leg lifts always are good to work this. Again, making sure that you're not irritating where that hamstring muscle feels uncomfortable. And so this first phase, like I said, can last 0 to 2 weeks, generally speaking. You know you're ready to move on to phase 2 when you can walk without having any pain. All right, moving on to phase 2, you're walking along, hopefully not as dorky as me, but you're walking along without pain. And so now it's time to progress that strength a little bit. So we're working on lengthening into that hamstring a little bit more. Still no stretching. This is the finger shake at you. No stretching yet, okay? So some exercises to add to this part, remember it's my left leg, are some lunges on a step or a stair, whatever you happen to have. We have the 1980s steps here. So I'm gonna put my leg up, and I'm just gonna kind of lean forward using this leg a little bit to do the work, and then gently press back off. Again, most of this stuff should be relatively pain-free. If you have that pain scale of 0 to 10 and it's about a 1 or a 2, that typically is okay, but don't go higher than that and the pain should go away. Very exciting, right? All right, and then we're gonna do a little bit of supported work with this left leg. So I'm not going into a deadlift yet because that's too much stress, but I'm gonna go into a little partial squat. You can use that opposite leg to help you out a little bit. And then we're gonna add just a little reach forward. Again, only doing this if it feels okay. And if that feels fine, and you can even get a little bit lower down, right? You can kind of aim towards that step, but you need to make sure that you're not having any pain when you're doing this. This is a little bit more advanced. And then we've got 2 lying down on the ground. So now we have a couple of exercise progressions for that bridge that we started with in that first phase. So you'll go right up into that bridge, still pretty much staying in that neutral position. And now to make that a little bit more challenging, we're actually going to do a little march. And when you do this, you want to make sure, again, clearly that the pain is okay, but that your hips are not dropping either, right? So you'll obviously notice that that hamstring definitely has to work harder. And then the other one lying down in that bridge, starting in that bridge position, we're actually going to walk those feet out. Now you may only start here and not get very far when you're first starting. There's nothing wrong with that. But the goal is to try to walk out a little bit further, right? We're lengthening into that hamstring now, working a little bit more eccentrically, which is where it tends to be the weakest. And then once you're able to jog at about a 50% effort, if you're a jogger, we'll say walking too, then you're ready to move on to phase 3. We have made it to phase 3. Yeah, now you're a superstar. All right, we're gonna start with getting some more eccentric, or that lengthening of the hamstring exercise. And this is a lot of times where people will re-injure their hamstring because that part is not strong enough. So we're starting to work on that now. So a few exercises standing up. We're gonna step right into a walking lunge, and we're gonna add a rotation over that front knee to actually stress that front leg a little bit more. So again, if it's my left hamstring, right? Now my left hamstring and glutes are having to work a little bit harder. Clearly I can only take 2 steps in my short little space. I tend to have people try to go for about 10 or so in each direction if they've got the space. If not, you can do 2 quick little steps like I did, 2 back and forth. The next one is going to be a lunge out to the side. So both toes are pointed forward, sitting back into that heel, and you're going right out using this left leg to push you all the way back in. Now when you do go to do it to the right side, now you're stretching out kind of that inner thigh, right, which is a little bit of the hamstring too on that left side. So you're really doing both sides here. And then lastly is the single leg deadlift with tongue twister, it shouldn't be, which really works the whole back of that leg. So I advise you to hang on if need be to begin with, but a little bend in that left knee. You're gonna think about pushing that hip back. And you should start to feel that all right in through here and into the calf, and then coming right back up. So starting this without weight and then gradually progressing to weight and even adding a little bit of different motion to it. You can do staying alive too if you really want to. All right, and then we have a couple of exercises on the ground too. All right, we have a couple other bridge variations here to end with today. And for this, as you probably can see, you need a lovely ball, preferably a larger one, not a super small one, because we're gonna lift our bodies up. So if you get your feet on that or a part of your calf, the further out the ball is, the harder it will be to lift. So step one is just make sure that this part feels okay, right, where you're just doing a regular bridge. And now, like I said, we're working on that eccentric part, right? So we're gonna lift into that bridge, and then we're actually kind of lifting up as we curl in. So now we're getting the hips involved a little bit more. We're going beyond that neutral position here. And then to make this one a little bit harder, you've got two options. So you're gonna come up like this, and then you can lift that right leg out and then straighten that left leg back. And then you're just coming back into that again, right? Or you can do the whole darn thing with just that leg. And again, making sure that it's ready to handle that. You don't wanna be hurting yourself here. All right, so let's get that out of there. During this phase two, you can start to do, it's gonna come right back, it's like a boomerang. You can start to do a little bit of more plyometric exercise, some things like some shuffles and things like that. And then there is actually one more phase that we're not covering here today, is that's the super advanced phase 4, where you're really getting into some higher level jumping, like actual jump split squats, jump moving split squats, and that type of stuff. And there are other videos out there that you can watch on that, but not covered today. Just wanted to get you through and get you some things going so that hopefully you won't have this happen again either. So thank you so much for tuning in today, and stay tuned for more. Thank you so much for watching today. If you would like to support me as well as reduce some pain and get rid of the appearance of that cellulite, click the link below to order your own Derma Edge, a device that I created and patented when I was going through the middle of Lyme disease in a lot of pain and needed a way to work on my own body. So the shape of the Derma Edge allows you to get all body parts in a gentle way. We're getting that fluid moving in between the layers, which helps you move better, helps get rid of that pain, and decreases that bumpiness of the cellulite. So make sure to click the link below to order your own.